Hey new players, welcome to Prosperous Universe. Today we're going to talk about all the different packages you could start with, as well as break down the crazy cool tools that the Apex offers. We will start with the company creation menu. Think of this as your mission control for setting up your spacefaring company. This bad boy's got 3 key sections that will help you send your space bucks skyrocketing. Section 1, picking your niche. This part's all about your company's specialty. What kind of space swag are you going to be slinging? Metals, minerals, or even fuel? This decision unlocks the resources you get to build up your base. Don't worry, you can switch things up later, but for now, choose wisely, Space Captain. I'll now go through all of the starting kits, giving a brief description of each. Fiddlers are the beating heart of the galaxy, providing rations and drinking water to hungry and thirsty colonists of the galaxy. And since they make food and water, they can be relatively self-sufficient. Their main resource is water. Fuel Engineer. This kit supplies you with all the starting materials to start your own fuel empire. As stated in the name, they produce a lot of fuel. This is for the many ships that travel the galaxy, causing it to be a vital part of most player businesses. Their main resource are galerite, ammonia, and hydrogen. Constructor. The main purpose of this kit is to give you the resources to produce building parts, from basic structural elements to complex engineering materials. Their central resources are limestone and iron ore. Carbon farmers. Similar to Fiddlers, they farm crops, but instead of forming them into rations, they turn it into carbon. This is useful because it kickstarts many production processes in metal and other industries. Their main resource is water. Metallurgists. The goal of a metallurgist is to produce ore, refine them, and sell them off to be made into other products. Their central resources include aluminum ore, iron ore, and oxygen. Finally, we have manufacturers. As the title explains, this kit will supply you with the needed goods to start your own China and manufacture anything for the colonists of the galaxy. Their main resources are everything, because they can do anything. Next up, you're going to be picking your starting faction and location. The faction you start with actually matters, because while in faction-owned planets, you gain a bonus. There are 4 factions to start with. The Antares Initiative, which gives a 10% bonus on electronics. The Castillo Ito Mercantile, which gives a 10% bonus on manufacturing. The Neo Charter Exploration, which gives a 4% bonus on metallurgy and a 6% bonus on construction. And finally, the Insular Cooperative. This gives a 6% bonus on agriculture and a 4% bonus on food industries. You might be wondering, what happens if I'm outside faction-owned planets? Well, you also get a bonus for that. A 4% bonus on chemistry, fuel refining, and resource extraction. Now let's go over the best starting planets for each occupation. Pro tip, keep an eye on the commodity exchange info in the bottom. That's where you'll be buying and selling space goods. The closer you are to a starting point, the easier and cheaper it is to trade. New explorers, stick to planets with a nearby exchange. Trust me, it'll save you a space headache. For Fiddlers and carbon farmers, in the Insular Cooperative with a large water density and high fertility, Hortus Parameter is the best starting planet for these 2 occupations. But be warned, there's also a lot of competition on this planet, most likely dropping cost of goods for the closest commodity exchange, which is a 36-minute and 22-second flight. For manufacturers, there is no best planet because it depends on what you most want to manufacture. But there is a pretty good starting faction, the Castillo Ito Mercantile, which gives a 10% bonus on manufacturing. For constructors, the best planet you could start with, found in Neo Charter Exploration, is Moria Montem. This planet includes limestone and iron, and the nearest commodity exchange is just a mere 2 hours and 13 minutes. And finally, for metallurgists, the best planet you could start with is found in Neo Charter Organization, and is Moria Vallis, which holds a high iron and oxygen concentration. This is the perfect planet for your metal need. The nearest commodity exchange is 5 hours and 31 minutes away. Section 3, building your brand. This is where you get to name your company and create your code. Think of it like your interstellar brand identity. Just remember, the name needs to be unique and follow the Prosperous Universe rules. The code is like your company's abbreviation, used to find you within Apex. Keep it short and sweet. 3 to 4 letters is the golden zone. Now, on to Apex. Imagine Apex like your own customizable spaceship bridge. Those shiny squares, those are tiles. They show you everything. Your universe, your base, and your resources. The whole 9 yards. You can resize them, move them around, and even delete them to make space for what matters most. In fact, You can also split them down the middle and split them horizontally to create two separate tiles. Buffers are like pop-up windows, or short-term stuff. Need a quick look at something? Throw it in a buffer. They stay on your main screen so you can multitask like a boss. They're easily movable, and if you drag them onto an empty tile space, they will take over that tile space. Now for commands. You could totally use Apex without them, but for players who are advanced, commands are like shortcuts that take you exactly where you need to go. And they're relatively necessary later in game. For now, they aren't required. But think of them like warp drive for menus. The left sidebar is your mission control. The logo? That's the Apex rock. If it spins, it means it's working on something. But if it is spinning constantly, non-stop for a couple minutes, give your game a reboot. The buttons below turn on different side panels, and those handy shortcuts save you from typing all those commands. For the right sidebar, which can be accessed by clicking the left command SDBR, you've got your space cache, company name, and contracts you have going. The top bar shows your current screen, and you can switch between them or you can create new ones. To switch between them, hover over the SCRN button and select one of the drop-down buttons. You can add screens by clicking the Add button, giving it a name, then hitting Create. And of course, you can enter full screen mode by pressing F11 or the Full button.